Hello. So what I want to do today is to go ahead and do my first retro gaming video, which I'm excited to do. I've wanted to do this topic for a while, and now I'm going to go ahead and start doing these and intermixing these into my channel. So the first topic I'm going to cover is why I've grown to love Cosmetically Flawed N64 cartridges. Okay, and I know that sounds kind of like a mouthful, but I'm going to go ahead and explain. For those of you who have done any research into recent pricing of video games, and you've looked in particular at the N64, you've started to notice they're getting a bit ridiculous for money, okay? Even the average Joe ones are still in that $40 to $60 range again, and they're only going up. So you're in a kind of a bind, you know, because you either pay stupid money for a lot of the the loose cartridges that are in really good condition, or you can buy one of those lovely reproductions from China and take your chances with how long it's going to last. So a good alternative to this is to look at the original cartridges that work well but may have cosmetic flaws, so they might not be as appealing to the people who are trying to collect and that sort of thing. So I've ended up, spending a lot more time with these as of late, and I'm finding that more and more I'm buying the Cosmetically Flawed originals as a good compromise. So, when you're looking at cosmetic flaws, I mean, there is a pretty big variation there. I mean, you can find some that are, basically like cosmetically destroyed, but still work by some miracle. Or you can find ones that have this tiniest little flaw in them that's almost hardly worth mentioning. And so for those ones, of course, you're getting an absolute steal and can get an absolute steal on them. So I'm going to show you just some of the things that I've ended up picking up from a website called DK Oldies. A number of you guys probably are familiar with that if you're into video gaming. If you're not, it's just a website out there where you can order from. Now, DK Oldies, I do want to clarify, you do have to pick and choose what you get from them because there is a lot of overpriced garbage there in terms of what you're getting for the amount of money spent. But I have found some pretty good deals in the Cosmetically Flawed department on a certain number of N64 titles. You just have to dig through and kind of do your research and determine what's a good deal, what's not. So the first one I'm going to go ahead and cover is Cruisin' Exotica. This one I got, you can see it's got, a little bit of a tear right up there along the top, but for the most part, the label's in pretty good shape. The back label's in pretty good condition, okay? And I got this guy after coupon code for $35. Now, I did some digging, and the cheapest I could find, even one that was even more beat up than the one that I got, was about $40 to $45. And I found them, in decent condition for between $50 and $60. So, I mean, yeah, if you're looking to be a hardcore collector, then obviously, you would go and purchase a sealed copy, but I want to play my games. I don't want to be dinking around with a game that I just put on a shelf and go, hey, that's worth a bunch of money. Okay, great. I can't do anything else with it other than make it sit there and look cool. But I want to play my games. So anyways, $35, Cruisin' Exotica with a little tear on the top there, but otherwise pretty good shape. So, after coupon code, $29, Banjo-Kazooie. This is the first one in the series. This one's not quite as hard to find as the sequel, Banjo-Tooie. But if you can see there, obviously you can see the cosmetic flaw, the tear right there, and maybe a little bit of adhesive there. But other than that, the label's in pretty good shape, and the back is actually pretty much flawless. So, $29 for this. A lot of cases, you're going to pay $40 to $50 for that game in really good shape. Now, a lot of people will sit there and start arguing about eBay, and that's so hit and miss. And not to mention, of course, determining what's a reproduction and what's not, because you have a number of less than honest sellers on there trying to, screw you over. So, now, but as I mentioned, there are varying degrees, and unfortunately I did end up getting one that was more damaged than I had hoped for, but I'm going to go ahead and just make you aware of this. So I ended up paying $36 for banjotooie, which normally in good condition will go for about $50 to $60 these days. However, when I got it, this is what I was greeted with. Basically, it had water damage, but for whatever reason, the game was in good working order. So this is one of the rare cases where I actually did go through and I got a reproduction label, because in this case I would say it was destroyed enough that it's actually better off to have a reproduction label in this case. Usually I try and leave the regular labels on there because in my opinion, minor cosmetic flaws are going to be more valuable than a reproduction label. But when you're talking a label that's basically destroyed, or if it's like even worse than that where it's like torn down to the rough adhesive backing, then you're talking about a situation where I would say, yeah, you might as well go ahead and put a reproduction label on it and just let people know it's a reproduction label, but it's the real deal. So anyways, I also did get, for $29 after coupon code from DK Oldies, a Mario 64, which was actually surprisingly in really good shape. I think it's got one slightly discolored spot, and you can make out handwriting of somebody who wrote their name on it, but I was able to take the blue ink off of there without really doing any damage to the label. And so now if you look at it, I mean, you have to kind of look at it to even see that. And that game, can go for $40 to $50 in decent shape. So, but I paid $29 for it. So, that's one of those things where, as I said, you have to determine what's a good deal, what's not a good deal. But I highly recommend people looking at cosmetically flawed cartridges, in addition, because you're still going to get that build quality and durability because it's an original cartridge. So you're not dealing with the, questionable quality control standards that are used by the mass-made reproductions from China. But you're going to pay in the realm of a reproduction cartridge with a cosmetically flawed, rather than, determining which one of your kidneys you want to sell to pay for some of those originals. Now, obviously, I recognize that, cosmetically flawed only works to a certain extent. There are some games that no matter what are just going to command a ridiculous amount of money, and so, yeah, you're going to have to figure out another solution for the games that are just, those top 20 to 25 game titles for the N64 that just can't be had for love or money right now, as the saying goes. But anyways, I just figured I would show you guys some of the deals that I've found as far as cosmetically flawed and why I really have chosen this as my go-to method. The other thing that's really cool about it is that there are ways where you can, relatively easily rehab a cartridge, as far as the cosmetics are concerned, and, and you can end up paying a lot less. And that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.